Thanks, dear. Ian, it's been a very good result for the Conservative Party. The Prime Minister has been very clear about that. And the fact that no one at all voted Tory, including the people who are actually running for office as Tory candidates, does not mean that the country wants a change of government. Quite the reverse. It's a series of stunning successes for the Conservative Party, and it means that people are so delighted with how things are going that they want 5 more years of it. No general election necessary. Onwards and upwards. The plan is working. That and more coming up with me, Nick Abbot, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Here we go. Okay.
Well, let's get back to it.
People hoping for a weekend of sunshine over the May bank holiday clearly have not lived in this country very long, have they?
No.
Rain and drizzle are forecast over the coming days. It's going to be wet, wet, wet like a Scottish pop band.
Rock and roll!
Heavy showers will sweep across Wales and South East England and the Midlands and East Anglia, wherever that is. No mention of what it's like in the northwest, though. I could check on that while you wait, but really, what's the point? I think we're going to find the result that we're expecting. One moment, please. Your forecast is not available. Please try again. I am trying. Ah, here it is. Raining at the moment. Don't ring and tell me that it isn't, because if it's not right now, it will be in a minute. This is in Glasgow. Raining tomorrow in Glasgow. It'll also be raining on Sunday, but on Monday it will be raining as well. And in fact on Monday you might get thunder, lightning, very, very frightening. It'll be raining on Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday, and raining on Thursday, and raining on Friday, and raining on Saturday, and now we're until Sunday the 12th, and it'll be raining on Monday, and the following Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and on Thursday, and every day for the rest of your lives. Never mind. Heavy showers sweeping across Wales and South East England, the Midlands and East Anglia, and the North West, which sounds pretty much like everywhere to me. Elsewhere, a mixed picture. There isn't any elsewhere. A mixed picture with highs of a measly 12 degrees and dropping to around 8 degrees overnight. Bloomin' freezing outside. Cloudy conditions on Saturday, heavy showers here, there and everywhere, baby. But, and it's a giant but, it could get better next week. Can you believe that?
No.
Going into next week, the Met Office predicts the weather will improve, becoming more settled and drier. But before that, flooding is possible, with the Environment Agency issuing 68 flood alerts and 1 flood warning for the River Cist.
Warning!
No, not Cist. Not Cist. There is no river called Cist. It's called Clyst, which, I don't know, is that worse? Clyst. It does sound more like a medical problem than a waterway, doesn't it? I believe you can get an ointment for it. The Met Office's Deputy Chief Meteorologist Mark said this weekend will remain unsettled with further showers or long spells of rain. All areas should see some dry conditions at some point, and in any sunshine it should feel quite warm. Well, that sounds promising. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
Well, at the beginning of next week, warm spells of sunshine, but with scattered showers, and then dry, fine weather for most areas, except Glasgow, which will get its own weather.
Correct.
And then, towards the end of the month, the unsettled weather returns, and that means rain across the south, drier in the north, and overall the temperatures will be average for the time of year. Temperatures will be average for the time of year? Well, I suppose we're going to have to take it, aren't we? In other weather-related news, dark clouds are forming over Downing Street, a storm is brewing in Westminster, and all across the land a tornado will soon rip through, leaving the country refreshed and invigorated. HAPPY-ness will be all around. Kiki texts, I went to vote yesterday morning with my voter ID, passport. I arrived at the polling station at 10:30 in the morning, and I was the only person in the non-existent queue. I saw one person arriving after I put my vote in the ballot box. I felt good about the fact that I'd voted. I think I begin to understand why you were going on about the importance of voting. Yes, I'll illustrate it for you. Here is the importance of voting. Conservative Mayor Ben Houchen held on to his North East seat.
What?
Yeah. Do the people of Teesside read Private Eye?
No.
Apparently not. Private Eye is woke. Lord Houchen got 81,930 votes. That is 53.6% of those who expressed a preference. His rival, Chris McEwen, got 63,141 votes. That's 41.3%, which sounds like a big victory. But in 2021, Lord Houchen got 78.8% of the vote. 78.8%. And down to 53.6% now. He's lost a third of his votes. Whatever could be the reason for that?
This government...
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Lost a third of his votes. And, of course, Tichy had to hot-foot it to the pretty much only place in the country that he could look pleased about in front of the cameras. And as Teesside is an easy train journey from London, which would come at minimal cost, shall we assume that Tichy used a helicopter to get there for his own campaigning at vast expense to us poor dopes who pay taxes? You know.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. And in North Yorkshire, Sunak told Sky News that Tees Valley was a key battleground in a general election and that victory shows that he can lead his party to victory. And he was doing that fake, over-enthusiastic, boggle-eyed grinning thing that he thinks must look good. And it might work if he were actually, you know, popular, if people liked him. But in his case, it just makes him appear desperate and lonely, like a puppy in a kennels. He does look a bit like a puppy Labrador that just wants to be taken home by someone, anyone. And that appearance of being desperate and lonely was not helped, of course, by Lord Houchen, forgetting to wear his Tory blue rosette, in much the same way that Tory election leaflets forgot to include the word Conservative on the front, as though they're embarrassed to be associated with a toxic brand. And why would that be exactly?
This government...
Precisely. Lord Houchen told Sky News that he forgot to wear I'm waggling my fingers in the air to denote inverted commas. He forgot to wear a blue rosette when he went up to accept his victory in the Tees Valley mayoral race. Have you heard that Lord Houchen told Sky News that he forgot to wear a blue rosette when he went up to accept his victory in the Tees Valley mayoral race? Well, you try it. I mean, I'm a trained expert. I can't do it. Mayoral race. Say that 10 times, I double dare you. On a couple of pints of wine. He also forgot to mention, by the way, the Conservative Party in his victory speech after he won the mayoral race. And he forgot to mention the Prime Minister as well. But he said he was wearing blue socks. Yeah, right. I mean, it's the all-important details that have recommended him to the good people of Tees Valley, who think that after 14 years of Tory rule, what the country really needs most of all is more of it. Just making a note that if I ever want to offload something I can't sell elsewhere, then Tees Valley is the place to be. They'll buy anything. In Lord Houchen's victory speech, he avoided mention of his party or titchy suit size, right up until the point at which suit size entered stage right. He descended from the clouds to be photographed standing next to somebody from his party that actually won something. And then Lord Houchen and Fishy were all kissy and huggy, metaphorically speaking. And what did Tichy say when he got there?
We have a plan, or you just go back to square one. That's why it's so important we stick to this plan.
Yeah, he actually said that. He did his plan thing. like this is all part of the plan. You know, the plan that he has elucidated in all its excruciating detail, to the point that he's completely forgotten to tell us what the plan is, other than that there is one. Just say the word plan a lot, Tichy, and nobody will ask you any impertinent questions. He waffled on about how badly Labour have done in what looks to the naked eye as though the people have spoken, and they have said, as with one voice, you should get out of our country. We've got a plane over here. It's destination Rwanda. We've heard great things about it. Oh, that is everywhere in the country they've said that, except Tees Valley. Hey, people of Teesside, wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this week, Monday night, an extra show for good behaviour. LBC.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
No, well, I was going to say there's nothing funny about it, but actually today there kind of is. A little bit. Slightly amusing. Watching them squirm, trying to come up with some way of painting a disaster as a success. How are they doing so far?
Dreadful.
You know, I forgot the most important part about that whole Lord Houchin thing. I forgot the point for me reading all that out. It was in response to Kiki's text. If that is indeed your name, Kiki. She said, I felt good about the fact that I'd voted, and I think I began to understand why you were going on about the importance of voting. Well, the people of Tees Valley didn't vote. Not in any great number. The turnout was 30%.
What?
30. 70% of the people that could vote in Teesside could actually be bothered to go and do it. That is pathetic. I mean, it's hardly a ringing endorsement for the mayor, is it? He got 53.6% of a 30% turnout. So in other words, 16% of the electorate in Teesside voted for Ben Houchin. 16%. And they're calling that a success. That is dismal. So the people there aren't really that enthused at all, are they? And they're painting it up as like it's a great success and the work he's doing is really having results. No, it isn't. Not to the people in Tees Valley. Not for them. 70% of them couldn't be bothered to go and vote. Unbelievable. What's it going to take to get people in this country to actually be bothered to leave the house and walk down to the polling station? I mean, it's not like America. The polling station isn't 100 miles away, and you don't have to stand in 50-degree heat and get refused a break, a comfort break. It's about 400 yards away from where you are sitting right now. You know it is. It's just down the road, in the school or the church or whatever thing it is that they took over for this event. 30%. That is deeply troubling, don't you find? It should be the law. Every single person should have to, under the threat of punishment, go out and vote when your vote is required. 30%. So the Tories' big success was winning 16% of the electorate for this mayor. A right mayor. 16%. That's their big victory. Good grief. Let's have Mitcham. Hello, Julia.
Hello, Nick. I don't know if you remember, I called many years ago and I was talking to you about the positives of lockdown, i.e. lots and lots of kittens and lots of people wanting to have kittens. Except black kittens.
Yeah,
yes,
black kittens, that's right.
And you helped spark an interest in these black kittens.
Oh.
And then I just wanted to thank you because they just all got snatched up. But unfortunately today...
well, hang on a minute. Wait. Back up. How did you have, what have you got, like a warehouse full of black kittens?
No.
You breed them?
I bought a black and white kitten for £100, which my aunt couldn't believe I would pay £100 for a kitten.
I don't know how much a cat costs these days. How much does a cat go for these days, approximately?
The value has dropped to 0. You can't get rid of them now.
Really?
After lockdown.
Oh, poor little kitties. But I do remember the conversation we were having was that people didn't want black cats and they were rejecting them because in a selfie with your pet, you can't see a black cat. It just looks like a shadow. That's the reason people were rejecting black cats, is because it didn't come up well in a selfie.
Oh, yes,
good grief.
Yes.
I've given up hope for the human race.
I agree. Yeah. Well, now that sparked off. Some lunatic came and picked one of them up and then returned them after one day because he said that his mum didn't allow cats. Anyway,
are you allowed to return them like M&S? Swap it for something you prefer.
I mean, someone has returned one of the kittens. One of the kittens.
What's going on in the background there, Julia? It sounds like somebody's strangling kittens.
No, that's the charger not working on one of the tablets. But yeah, I'm just wanted to say that one of those cats has returned with 5 more kittens, and I just didn't want them to go to a cat rescue. Well, because I just couldn't say no. So now. So is this?
Can I just ask, Julia? Is this a prelude to you talking about the elections, or is this just...
Yes, I did want to get to that point,
all right.
Which is that I randomly decided to go and vote, which I normally don't do. So at the back of my mind, I must have thought, Nick said I should go and vote, so I did.
Correct.
And I actually didn't know what I was going to vote for, and then I got in there, and I crossed the wrong box. So I gave all the papers back to them and showed them the ones that I did wrong. And they said, we mustn't really see this, but anyway, we'll just do new ones. So I got new ones. They said, this is your last chance.
Yes.
I said, okay. And then I ended up crossing something really awful, which I can't even tell anyone.
What was it?
I think our conversation is going to be over. I think it was Britain first, and Reform UK.
And you did that by accident?
Kind of, yeah. My hand just
Julie, I think you need adult supervision. I think you need an intervention of some sorts. Have you been eating the catnip? Thanks a lot, Julia. Gotta go. 0345 6060 973. An accident. Carol says, well done, Keir and the Labour Party. With wins all over the country, here's hoping for the same when Sunak finally names General Election Day, and then all in capital letters with an exclamation after it, like she's shouting at me, time to get Tories out, says Carol, or yells Carol. I think it's outrageous that Sunak can name the General Election Day of his choice, the day that he thinks will benefit him the most. What kind of a dictatorship are we running in this country? I mean, like, they don't have enough of an advantage being the incumbent party as it is. I mean, they can change the rules of voting, as they have done, in order to try to dissuade as many people as possible to vote Labour. Don't tell me that that's not what that was about. Even Smug knew that.
I don't know anything.
And he doesn't know anything, but he knew that. Gerrymandering, that's what he called it. Saying the quiet part out loud. I am stunned. Like, I really am. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Paul says, do you think that the great big greedy nincompoop... Which one?
The great big greedy nincompoop.
Oh, that one. A, forgot his photo ID to vote. B, wanted some publicity shots of his hair. Or C, thought that he was better than us plebs, so didn't feel the need to bring any. I'm guessing all three, says Paul. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all three too. Mostly, I think he wanted the publicity. God, the latest column of his, and I wonder if the Mail is is disappointed with its decision to hire him on such a staggeringly large amount of money to produce those columns that he just dashes off. I bet he literally phones them in. This one was about today's. I just read the first bit of it, and it was about ducklings. Ducklings, one of which was poorly. And then I didn't read the context or where that column was going, because after what I've just described to you, which was in like a paragraph and a half, it sort of fades out and you have to pay money, actual real money, to read that stuff. And so that's a no from me. And furthermore... No. So I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. It's rubbish. But I think the great big greedy nincompoop wanted publicity shots, not necessarily of his hair, but he just wanted to be trending, like a trendy person. And he was. All day long, people were piling in about, aha, you idiot, and words to that effect. Giving him precisely what he wanted. He's a publicity hound. When the spotlight is on someone else, he gets really itchy and uncomfortable. And so he managed to swivel it back onto him by forgetting his photo ID. Right, sure he did. Well, I'll come to that in a minute. I have detailed files, don't you worry about that. First, Matthew.
Hello, Nick. Can you hear me?
Where's Firsk, Matthew?
Firsk is North Yorkshire, my friend. I am next door to our wonderful Prime Minister.
Oh.
I live in a very safe Tory seat, and I completely agree with you about the importance of voting.
Yeah.
There isn't a chance in hell of Labour getting in around here. I mean, I'm going to come level with you, Nick. I rang in because I want to know what the most sort of like entertaining / spicy sound clip you could play on your soundboard would be. I mean, the sort of thing that would make an Ofcom personnel like just jolt out of their seat for a second. But yeah. Well,
I don't. Do I have anything that's going to be against the rules of radio at my fingertips to play? Of course not.
I mean, nothing that's just a bit close to the bone. I mean, just touching the limits. I mean, I don't know what the broadcasting rules are per se.
Right, but I don't know why you're asking me this.
Okay. Sorry. I voted today. Rishi Sunak now operates under a Labour mayor, and I just thought, you know what, that's pretty good.
Do you ever see him up your way? I mean, does he actually live there, or?
Apparently, when he does pop around, he's followed by a very expensive motorcade of German cars.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And his wife, which isn't surprising at all, very much fancies the local Marks and Spencers.
I do find that surprising. Well, for food, yes. Presumably not clothes.
It's only a fool's haul, I'm afraid.
Right, food.
We make do up here, Nick.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for filling me in there, Matthew. You leave me slightly more confused than you found me. Appreciate that. Darryl says, Nick, you're always whining about the... Whining? Nick, you're always whining about the cost of living. But help is at hand. I thought you could do with an extra $3,000, so I took the liberty of signing you up for the alternative Rwanda scheme. Bon voyage. $3,000. It's just, it is actually beyond belief now, isn't it? They're just chucking that money around like drunken sailors. They just don't care anymore. It's like end of term drunkenness. You remember the end of school term, the last day where you brought in your own booze and got drunk? Archie says, I'm warming to this Rishi Sunak's stopping the votes. He sounds like a fellow with a plan.
The country's priority is to stop the boats. And at the same time, I think people know that I'm relentlessly focusing on stopping the boats. And I'm relentlessly focused on stopping the boats. That's one of my 5 priorities, stopping the boats. And I think people know that I'm working night and day to stop the boats. I firmly believe that that's what the country wants me to do. That's what the government is committed to doing. And we're working night and day to stop the boats.
Yeah.
That's what the country wants us to focus on. And I will keep at it.
Yeah, keep gripping it.
I'm gripping it.
He is actually gripping it at the moment. When he goes into that sort of that kind of pained faux sincerity routine, it's excruciating. Because it's just not him. You know that's not him. It's a deeply bad act. Sincere doesn't appear to be part of his lexicon. So spitting with fury is more his thing. But, you can't show the public too much of that, otherwise you might become unpopular. People might not believe this kind of thing.
This government will have integrity at every level.
Every level, integrity. All of the levels. Yeah. It's got integrity written through it like Blackpool Rock. 034. Not long left, kids. Not long left now. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. And you can WhatsApp us now, baby. If you have the technology, it's 0345 6060 973. It's the same number as the phone number. You can WhatsApp us. Oh, look at the time. It's 10:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Daryl Jackson.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
John texts, the plan is only working if the plan is to destroy the country.
We have a plan. Plan.
And stick with the plan, otherwise it's back to square one with the Labour Party. Can we just go there straight away, without delay? Pretty pleased with sugar on top. Edward says, all this business about Johnson forgetting his voter ID, I don't buy it. This is his little plan to make the story all about him, and it's working, says Edward, who is adding to Johnson's little plan. Yeah, I think that's completely correct in every respect. It's just a desperate, sad, and needy attempt to get attention. It is a little. It's a bit sad. Pathetic is probably a better description. It's a bit pathetic, in a sad sort of way. New Malden, hello, Ahmed.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Ahmed.
I can't believe Boris Johnson was turned away from voting.
Why is that?
Casting his vote because he forgot. I mean, for heaven's sake, there's only one Boris Johnson.
There's only one Boris Johnson.
Yeah. With his all ruffled up hairstyle and hanging shirt.
So you think that they should have just given him a pass and said, aha, it's you. Of course you can. Your beautiful face is your photo ID.
But on the other hand, I mean, he should have been turned away from entering 10 Downing Street.
Exactly, yes. You can't say, just because I'm famous, you should just let me vote, even if I don't bring a photo ID, because somebody could have just wheeled in a barrow of hay, and it would have looked like Boris Johnson.
Well, absolutely. No, but, I think there should be some element of discretion.
No discretion. No, it's either a rule or it isn't. You can't. I could show up and say, "Look, it's me," and they'd say, "Who are you?" And I'd say, "Exactly."
Yeah, but at the same time, Boris Johnson never followed any rules. So
yes, and yes, he never followed any rules.
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
Apart from following the ministerial guidance at all times.
And as far as Rishi Sunak is concerned, the thing is, he keeps saying, integrity and so on, stop the vote, stop the vote. Do you remember that cartoon, Dick Dastardly?
Dick Dastardly and Muttley.
And Muttley. And he, you know, when he couldn't win, he just said, catch the pigeon, stop the pigeon.
Stop the pigeon, yeah.
You know, I mean, he's...
What does that got to do with what we're talking about? I did used to enjoy that cartoon, and I've got that song actually ringing around in my mind at the moment. Thanks a lot for that. That's going to be an earworm I'll never be able to get rid of. Stop the pigeon, stop the pigeon. That one.
Yeah, that's the one. Indeed. Thank you.
Has absolutely... Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
For whatever that was. Good work, Ahmed. David says, leave Fishy alone. He's doing his best. I used to get that so much. It's just painful. You know, when we were going through... don't really want to say it out loud because it might, jinx our future. Don't want to go through that again. Oh, please, let's not go through that again. But when we were going through... and Bodger was being...
The great big greedy nincompoop.
He was acting like a great big greedy nincompoop. And his every action was killing people left, right and centre while robbing the country of its financial future. People were forever ringing in like they were his mummy. Leave him alone. He's doing his best. God, it's excruciating. You know, like he's 5 years old and has been tasked with cleaning up his room. and the hamster's poop is all over the walls by the time he's finished, but he was doing his best. Ahmed says, did you hear about our former PM Johnson who was turned away from his polling station because he forgot to bring photo ID? What a donut, says Ahmed. Yeah, well, he certainly looks like he's eaten a lot of donuts.
Yeah. Wait.
By which I mean a lot. And James says, congratulations, Rishi, soon to be sacked. His number one party, stopping the votes, was a success yesterday. That's his number one party.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, he keeps getting that wrong. It's supposed to be the other way around. Never mind. Better luck next time. Let's see now. Belsize Park. Judy.
Hello.
Judy.
If you remember, which you won't remember because you don't listen to your programme.
No.
But I set you homework.
But miss, it's the weekend.
No, I mean you should have already completed the homework.
The dog ate it. I left it on a bus.
I set you homework to carry out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That when you went to vote, which I know you did because both of us
Yes, I did. Yes.
Did you check?
No.
Why not?
Because I forgot. And as I left, I thought, I was supposed to check on the back of the voting forms to see if they put their number on there. And but I don't recall there being a number on there. Not that I was looking at... Wait a minute. Not that I remember looking at the back of it, apart from when I folded it to make sure that my selection remained secret. To the rest of the room, because, it might be used against me in a court of law in the future.
So, for those who are not quite caught up with this mad programme of yours, the ballot paper has a number on the back.
I'm not sure that it does, though.
Excuse me.
Excuse me?
The three ballot... Hurry up, we're coming up to the news thing.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
We will by the time I finish.
Well, yeah.
Right, the ballot papers, all three had an identical number on the back.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's true, though.
I assure you, all three had the same number on the back, and that number was recorded against the electoral roll number.
Well, I know that they read out a number when they found my name, and she checked my face, my beautiful face next to my my driving licence, just to make sure that I wasn't, pulling a fast one. And then they read out a number between one person behind this little folding desk and the next, and they gave me 3 pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And I drew cartoons on them and handed them straight back.
Right. So
I ticked all of the boxes.
Well, of course, didn't we all? The ballot. This is serious. The ballot papers all had the same number, or the 3 ballot papers that we were given.
Yeah.
If you turn them over, they all had the same number on the back, and that number was recorded against your electoral roll number.
I don't think there's any evidence of that having
this
happened.
time, I wasn't thrown out of the polling station. I went to the nice lady in charge, and I asked her about it, and she said she is concerned, and she has herself raised this with the authorities, and she can't get a satisfactory answer from them. And she is concerned because the only reason for doing it is that how you vote can be checked.
Judy,
and now,
your selection is going down on your permanent record.
Now we hear that the ones, I think it's for the mayor, are safely locked away somewhere. They're not even going to be counted until tomorrow.
Or at all.
Or at all. So who is guarding those boxes?
Is it a bloke called Jeff?
You don't take this seriously, do you?
I think it's all very, very alarming. I mean, if it is true that they can trace back your voting paper to you personally, I mean, that is an open goal to a wannabe dictator, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Old. So I have been voting for hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years.
And the very first time, sorry, I'm shouting at you. The very first time I ever voted, which is way before you were born, I queried it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Right.
And now, with what goes on with the various changes of government, I find it very, very worrying.
Highly suspicious, if you ask me.
Well, seriously, the fact that it could be traced if a government wanted to do it is concerning.
Yes, I would not be at all surprised at this point if they were considering revoking your citizenship for voting the wrong way.
That wouldn't surprise me.
You're going to need factor 50, Judy, because the sun's really hot in Rwanda.
That lady that phoned you a little while ago and said that she'd messed up one of her papers.
Yeah.
And then they gave her some more, and she was a bit concerned about what she'd done on those.
Right.
That can be traced.
Yeah. Well, she said it out loud as well. She voted for the Nazi Party, I think is what she said.
Well,
or was it the Nasty Party? I'm a bit. I've got tinnitus, so hard to tell.
Most of them are nasty, but anyway, I just wondered if you had checked yourself and you didn't.
No, I was very cross with myself when I left because I thought, well, now I'm going to have to wait till like November or never, whenever is the next general election, to check on the back to see if you had actually lost your mind, as I suspected.
But it's not. No, it's not only checking on the back of your ballot paper. You need to ask.
I check everybody's paper. Every single person that comes in, I'm going to ask, take their papers off them and check them.
Can you please, next time, will you ask them at the desk, why are you writing my ballot paper number next to my electoral roll number?
But they didn't write it on the paper. No, they didn't, because they gave it to me too quick, because there was 3 pieces of paper, and there's no way they could have written my number. What I thought that you were saying is that it's actually printed on the back. You're saying that they wrote it on the back.
No, they don't write it on the... Oh, Christ. The ballot paper has a number on it.
Yes.
That number is recorded against your electoral roll number.
Right, gotcha.
Look it up on Google.
No, I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. I don't want to, and you can't make me.
Well, I'm going to go back with my husband and watch Gogglebox.
Okay, that sounds like a good decision. All right, thanks a lot, Judy. She's going to watch Gogglebox on the Gogglebox. Nathan said, my sister is visiting me in Bristol from Glasgow and says that it is actually expected to be quite nice in Glasgow. Is that true? Well, let me think about that. No, it's never going to be nice in Glasgow. It rains every single day. Still a great place, though. I mean, Glasgow is such an excellent city. The architecture alone is worth at least a week of your time. Nick says, I'm a week late for the new Tory slogans, but I saw the above sign in a coffee shop near Old Street, a Tesco-style sign that reads, Tories, very little help. They also sell tofu-eating member of the Wokarati mugs too. Wow. Sign me up for one of those. A wokey-cokey.
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'll tell you what, the one that's just come out is a hoot, but the one that's coming out on Monday is a hoot and a half. We do 2 a week now, one on Monday and one comes out on Friday. It's about 45, 50 minutes of concentrated amusement. And the idea is that we solve people's problems. Now, if you have a dilemma that you wish us to point our brain at, then simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's NICKANDCAROL @global.com. But you have to prepare for total satisfaction.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Because sometimes the world just gets a bit too much, doesn't it? I mean, you can doom scroll all day and just read about other people's misery. Or you can just check out it'll be like a little holiday. Because nothing untoward will insert itself into that podcast. Because we have a method by which that is prevented. We have safe space words. Either time one of us starts talking about politics or something like that, boring. Then one of us yells out our safe space word and we have to talk about something else that's, silly. So if you wish to be amused, I think it'll be right up your alley. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol. It's on Global Player. Ask for it on your stupid smart speaker. Cowbridge. Hello, Chris.
Ah, Mr. Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
I called to share my voting experience with you of yesterday.
Okay.
I live in although I've got Cowbridge down, I live in a very small rural village. So I went to the village hall, had my polling card, I had my passport, and I had my driving licence.
Oh,
I went
you doubled up just in case.
Oh, I just had everything.
Right.
So I just wanted to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in, and the village hall, in a village hall, the usual sort of style you can imagine, there was one solitary booth in the centre of this very large room with two people standing to the side of a trestle table, looking very pleased to see the one solitary voter, me, walking in.
Yeah.
And so I proceeded to the trestle table. I presented my 3 pieces of information, polling card, there's my passport, there's my driving licence.
Right.
And so the guy behind the counter looked at me and very smiled and says, "Where do you live?" And I said, "It's written right there on my driving licence."
Uh-oh, an attitude already. That's a big negative.
So he said, no, you need to say it out loud. I said, Di. I said, Di, you live next door to me. You know where I live.
Right.
Well, I said, why do you need me to say it out loud?
Yes.
We talk to each other every morning when we come out in the morning.
I tell you what, Chris, that Di, he is a right pain. Am I right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I made a laugh. I said, dude, you know where I live. I live next door to you. It's written on my driving licence. We talk almost every day.
Yes.
Why do you need me to say where I live?
He probably wanted to be recorded, so it has your voice, so that they can put your voice with your with your voting card. They'll get the number, and that'll be evidence that you were there and you did vote for the wrong party.
Is this the same thing as like with the COVID vaccine and the things in the cell towers and the was it the Microsoft guy having control of my brain?
That's right. Yeah, microchips in your brain.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. I did actually have one other thing I wanted to ask you, and I wondered if we could actually play a game.
A game?
Yeah, a game.
What kind of a game?
We were doing slogans last week, and I think you must have got sick of that.
Yes.
I was wondering if we could play a game of like the nonsense cliches that MPs say during interviews that just drives us all batty. I'm being very polite, but I was wondering if we could maybe play that game. And I was thinking, one of the ones, well, you always had the thing where we have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually thinking the other ones is like working for hardworking
people who are doing the right thing by working hard. Yeah.
Yes, and we're working hard day and night.
Day and night, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I think the British people want.
No, not what I think. It's the British people want. This is what the British people want. And usually when they say that this is not what the British people want.
Yeah.
Also, when they say, and this is the thing that rubs my fur up the wrong way, this or that person has been very clear that. Oh God, it makes me want to tear my hair out.
Anytime, and I'm sorry, but both sides of the red and the blue guys who need to loosen their scarves just a little bit so the blood can get to their brains, and give their heads just a little bit of a wobble.
Yes, exactly.
It's really infuriating, especially you can hear when these Tories go out and do the media rounds. You can just tell they've been prepared because they come out with this generic.
They say the exact same things over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter who they are or what they're talking about. You can virtually speak the words along with them. And if they said this, if they answered a question by answering a different question in one interview, they'll do the exact same thing in the next one and give the same non-answer to an irrelevant question.
I actually have a theory. I mean, I was watching the coverage on LBC last night, and they had this female Tory MP come on who had a very short grey or silver hair or whatever. And the amount of time she started talking about the plan, and we're delivering on the plan. And I'm wondering, do they get paid commission for basically hitting the scripted words? They must get extra commission. They're a bit like a salesman, but they get extra bonus how many times they say the word plan or square one or Starmer's going to take you back to square one or he doesn't have a plan. And it's just like, oh, my God, please, I really want to end up just wanting to shoot myself, so I can't vote for any of these idiots.
Right. Don't do that, Chris, but you will get extra points for getting it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
That's what Donnie says. All right, keep that in mind, Chris. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Kath texts, I wonder if Bodger put the "but don't you know who I am" card when he didn't have voter ID yesterday. He couldn't make it up, says Kath. No, I suspect that he would not have pulled that "don't you know who I am" routine because he wanted to get refused. If they just said, "Oh, we know it's you," what with the 50 members of the press that are following your every step, who else could it be? Who else of your age could present themselves in that manner?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Like a 5-year-old child. Who else could walk out the house looking like that? We know it's you. But I bet he didn't ask for that hang on a minute. I just had to cough. I bet he didn't ask for special favours because then that would have meant that his little scheme would have been upended. He wanted to go back and get refused because it fits in with his whole routine, his whole, who, me? I'm an inoffensive, forgetful clown. No threat to anyone. That routine. No, I don't believe a word of it. This says, excellent work battling the forces of darkness, ignorance and Torydom. Now the Tory reaction to losing hundreds of seats and the worst result in 40 years can best be described as hubba, hubba, hubba. Or... like that. I got another one. So, whenever they answer a question by starting with so, what they mean is, you stupid moron, why are you asking me a question like that? So... It's excruciating. I don't know what we've done to deserve this, but it must have been fantastic. Shame I can't remember it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC, and you can WhatsApp us, baby, on 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Shut up.
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
Kath, I read the one from Kath, who texts, I wonder if Bodger pulled the "but don't you know who I am" card. Oh, it's me. Oh. Boris Johnson said in 2004 that he would eat his ID at a polling station in protest if the law ever required him to show one to vote. He wasn't telling the truth about that. Isn't that totally incredible?
No.
Aren't you completely stunned?
Negative.
And then, after lying that he would eat his ID card if ever there was a need to show one to vote, he then made it a law to show one to vote. It's almost as though he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. Wait.
In 2022, he passed a law requiring ID to vote and then dismissed criticism that it would stop people voting. And then a year later, that top-hatted Twiglet smug admitted that it had stopped people voting in the local elections, just the wrong sort of people. He said the elderly had forgotten to take their ID and that an attempt by his own party to steal the elections had backfired. I mean, it's hard to believe that these people feel so immune to the consequences of their own actions, they feel comfortable saying the quiet part out loud. So Bodger said, we would never get voter ID cards. And then he said we would get them, but it wouldn't stop anyone voting. And then, in a turn-up that you must have seen coming from the International Space Station, Bodger Johnson forgot his own ID when he went to vote yesterday. Which meant that Mr. Blobby was turned away from his local polling station when he was trying to vote in the local elections, because he supposedly forgot to bring in an acceptable form of photo identification. Just going, "Paw!" wasn't enough, apparently. And as with everything else in his life, he just assumed that he could bowl in, ruffle his hair, act all schoolboyish and get whatever he wanted. I mean, that's the reason that people are offering, that's what happened. It was just, impertinence on his behalf. He just thought he was so damned important that he could do anything he likes, whenever he likes, with whomever he wants to do it.
Disgusting.
But I don't buy that. You know, I mean, that it was just typical bodge that rules are for other people.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. And his aura of fabulousness would allow him to waft over any impediment that he could just use his fame as his ID. Like he uses his fame as a get-out-of-paying-a-bill card. But I don't buy that. I think he thought that he would get a load of press and coverage, and he'd be trending on social media if he did his usual, "God, where am I?" routine. And people would remember what a hoot he is, and his return to number 10 would be in the bag. Ain't that right, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
Blah, blah, blah. I don't believe he forgot to take his ID at all. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? He'd have to go home and get it, while the press would be following his every move like a bad smell, drifting after him. I mean, I suppose I could read all about it in his column in the Mail, but it's behind a paywall, and if you think I'm going to pay to read what that harebrained haystack has to say, then I have never worn a Ben... oh, never mind. Losing the will to live over here. Sky News understands that polling station staff were forced to send the former Prime Minister away after he initially failed to comply with the law that he introduced while he was in Downing Street. Is this ringing any bells?
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
Yeah. I mean, it's talk about on trend. Johnson, who introduced the Elections Act requiring photo ID in 2022, was supposedly attempting to cast his ballot in South Oxfordshire, where a police and crime commissioner for the Thames Valley was being selected. Well, I know who they should throw the handcuffs on for a start. In 2023, the Electoral Commission warned the new law, which requires people to show acceptable forms of photo ID when voting in person, could exclude hundreds of thousands of people, including those with disabilities, from minority ethnic backgrounds and so on. Or, as it's known in Tory circles, the plan.
We have a plan. Plan.
The Commission found that in local elections last May, 14,000 people were not able to vote because they did not have acceptable ID. That's 14,000 pretty stupid people. Hey, Bodge?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
In England, passports, driving licences, blue badges, certain local travel cards are accepted forms of voter ID. Basically, if it's for the over 60s, who mostly vote Tory, your issued card will do. If you are under 26 and most of you don't vote Tory, your issued card will not do. What's crooked about that? A spokesman for Mr. Blobby did not deny that he'd failed to bring ID, saying only, Mr. Johnson voted Conservative. Or it could have been Green, or maybe he crossed every square, thinking it was a menu, and scrunched up the paper and he forgot to put it in the box. But I'm sure he approached the situation with the same level of professionalism and expertise that he employed as Prime Minister. We are lucky to be alive. And there was another Tory who forgot their party's own law for voter ID, the Ipswich MP Tom Hunt, who said his dyspraxia was the reason he had lost his documents. Hunt said that it was inappropriate for Labour and social media users to mock him for misplacing his documents given his developmental coordination disorder. But it might be appropriate to remind him that he voted for the ID law, despite the fact, by his own admission, it would make voting more difficult for people with his condition. So remind him about that. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury, Ranjit. An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Ranjit.
Oh, yeah. Right. You know, Boris Johnson, yeah? Okay. He's just making up for the last time when there was local elections. I can't remember what year. He says, I did the patriotic thing, and he sent out, I think it was a tweet, yeah. I went and voted in my local elections, and somebody pointed out to him, where you live, there weren't any. Yeah.
That sounds about right, yeah.
I've got a good idea for Rishi Sunak as well. You know what he could do? You know all the 500 councillors are going to lose their jobs, yeah?
Yeah.
He could give them some severance pay, right, of £5,000
each.
Yeah, each. Claim 3,000 from the government, right, and send them on a holiday to Rwanda.
That sounds
and say,
great.
I've sent 500 criminals to Rwanda, right, and they've broken this country. I'm probably being a bit unfair with the councillors, but they are part of the firm, yeah. And he could say, I've got 500 people to Rwanda. Look, the flights are working, right?
Guilty by association. That's right.
Guilty by association. The one thing, Nick, me and you agree on everything, but today I'm going to have to disagree with you on something.
Right?
Okay. The one thing is, this morning I was watching the telly before I come to work, and they had, I think it's Richard Horden, who's a chairperson of the Tories. And they said to him, they says, there was a massive 26% swing towards Labour in Blackpool South when you lost, right?
Yeah.
And his reply, guess what his reply was? Yeah, but Labour had a lot more votes last general election. They had less votes this year, right? How dumb is that, right? Now, this is where me and you are going to disagree. You know, when you talk about the Teesside election, right? You know, 16%, they've won with 16%.
Yes.
if people are showing apathy, right? Fair play to the man. He's won on 16%. You know, you understand where I'm coming from, where I disagree with you about moaning about that. Yeah?
No, I don't know where you're coming from. 16% is not good enough. 30% turnout is just not good enough because 30% of the population are cranks. That is a verifiable fact.
I agree with that part. But if you compare what the Richard Horden said, oh, well, not enough people came out to vote. That's why Labour won. You understand? It's the same kind of analogy. It's like if I give you a football analogy, yeah?
Yeah.
We've played football for 90 minutes. The score's 0-0, right? We've had extra time. Score's still 0-0.
Right.
We've scored in penalties and I've won. And you say, well, Ranjit, you never really won, but you scored more penalties than me. Well, I've had the 3 points, mate, and I've gone to the next round.
Were you playing for Germany, Ranjit? Because I'm getting, a deja vu.
No. What I'm trying to say is, because of people's voter apathy, you are going to get these kind of results, yeah? And if, like me and you agree that Labour won fairly and squarely, but then again, we want to try and disagree that Teesside, he didn't win it fairly and squarely.
Here's the truth about a low voter turnout, is that you will get run by cranks, because the cranks will leave the house in a thunderstorm and crawl down on their hands and knees, if necessary, over broken glass to vote for their favourite crank. And by that method, if the sensible ones stay at home, then we just get run by cranks. And how's that working out for us?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
No, I agree, but now people, like the Tories, are going to say, well, unfortunately, Blackpool's being run by cranks, which is our side, my side, Labour. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, because of voter apathy, you are going to get these kind of situations, but it depends on which
How
side
can you be apathetic? I mean, we've just gone through 14 years. How's the last 14 years been? You're apathetic? It's like neither one thing nor the other? It's like it's good and it's bad? I don't know.
No,
I mean, God.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Well, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you.
Yeah.
I'm asking for the people who didn't bother to go out and vote. I mean, are you just thrilled with the way things are going? You don't want to change a single solitary thing? You would prefer the status quo?
No, Nick, last week you asked me about what's going to happen with the fish and chip trade because you was reading about it, yeah? Now, I have a cross-section of people. I have people who are unemployed. I have unemployables. I have rich people coming to my shop. And there's unemployables, trust me, yeah?
Right.
Okay.
What are the unemployables order, by the way? Just a bag of chips to go. I'll have some salt and vinegar. Just pour it into my hands.
No. And I'm not going to be cruel to my customers. There are people who are unemployable. Right. I mean, for one wanted a job with me. I said, can you start Monday? He went, no. I said, can you start Tuesday? We got into the third week on the Monday. I said, start then. Yeah? Okay. And he come on the Friday. He says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't start. I said, hang on, I've given you 14 days. What are you doing now? He goes, well, I'm on the door. I said, okay. Then he keeps on coming round asking for some work. And then my wife says, well, why don't you give him a job to do some gardening at our house? Right? So I called him over to my garden. I said, can you do a bit of... He says, if you do this, if you do that, if you do this. I said, hang on, what are you exactly going to do? He says, have you got a lawnmower? Then he goes, I'll mow your lawn for you. I said, mate, see you later. That's an unemployable person, I'm sorry, and I shouldn't be like that. But what I'm saying is, I've got a cross-section of people that come, yeah? Okay,
yes.
Okay, Nick, seriously. People are struggling, right? And I am, because, like the pubs went, right? Chippies are going to be next that are going to go. Right, because this week they brought in that European law where they're going to check all the food products and everything. Right?
Much more expensive.
And the fish has gone up by about 20% just this week. Again,
wow, really?
Right?
In one week?
In 1 week, 2 days? 2 days. I think he was brought in on the 1st or something, right? And on next week, I'm putting my prices up because it's about survival.
Well, you got to.
When people say to me, I say, hang on, would you rather me shut this shop and go and get a job and then you won't get any fish and chips? Or do you want me to charge you a reasonable price?
No, I want you to charge a reasonable price. But just to back up, because these checks have just come in, you're saying that in 2 days, the new checks have raised the price of fish by 20%.
20, yeah, because basically, I'm sure you got other people that are listening to me, yeah, because the people who supply us the fish, yeah, the Spaniards and the Russians and everything, they've got the monopoly on it because we sold all our fleet.
Russians?
Right? And
I've been eating Russian fish.
you know the super trawlers and that. Right? Yeah. So what happens is the fish lands in Aberdeen, yeah, and it's auctioned off,
right?
Yeah. So they decide to bring less fish to England and say, Scotland, they say because of the customs checks, we're going to drop it in Denmark, we're going to drop it everywhere else in Europe. So we get, instead of having 10 tons, we'll have 2 tons, and everybody bids for it, right? And that's how the fish is bought in the morning. And then it's bid, and everybody, when there's not a lot to go around, the price goes higher.
And is cod the same price as haddock?
Roughly the same, yeah.
Right,
those two are roughly the same, yeah.
And what's the difference between cod and haddock?
Haddock's got a stronger taste.
Does it?
Yeah. And,
I don't think that either of them taste of anything.
No, they don't. They're very bland, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we like in this country, bland food. It's true.
I mean, like this morning it was £95 a stone, right? Last week it was £80 a stone, 78.
And you know what else is? What else we're going to have a shortage of?
Potatoes.
No chips.
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, Nick, I know you care about us lot, yeah, and everybody else. It is very dangerous at the moment of where we're going because, there's going to be a potato famine because of the weather.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Because of the climate. Exactly. The climate affects the weather. And the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone.
No.
Yeah.
One last thing.
And in closing.
They keep on going because the fishing trade makes 0.1% of the GDP of this country. They don't care about it, but it affects all the population. Where the majority of the business is done is on paper between Hong Kong banks and this, that, and the other, and that's what's running our economy. But we don't benefit from it.
No,
right?
that's correct.
The poor people that work in car factories, this and the other, get paid just above the minimum wage. By the time they got anything left, these bankers. You know when, like the analogy you give, if Bill Gates walked into your pub, you'll all be billionaires, and that's where the economy is right at the top. And these people who are apathetic about all of these things, right? You are going to suffer now, right? I'm going to be suffering.
Yeah, I will.
I'm going to suffer.
Yeah, I will, and you will. But the people that you've just been talking about won't. They won't suffer because they're living in a totally different world. I've got a story here about Goldman Sachs. You know, you know Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Goldman Sachs.
I used to work for them.
Yeah. Did you? No. Goldman Sachs has scrapped the bonus cap for British bankers in a move that will allow star traders and deal makers to earn up to, get ready, grip onto something firm, 25 times their salary.
What?
In bonuses. I mean, there's just no connection between those people and the rest of us. You know, the little people, not leprechauns. Thanks a lot, Ranjit. All the best. No fish, no chips. What we got? Right, salt and vinegar. That's all we got. We ain't got no fish and we ain't got no chips. Do you still want salt and vinegar?
LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Yes, it's all about his bodgeness.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Mr. Blobby has got himself in the news again. John says he accidentally, on purpose, forgot his ID when voting, ensuring that he made the news on a bad night for Rishi. No doubt he's waiting the SOS flare from Tory HQ. Yeah, I bet Tory HQ is thinking of strapping Rishi to that flare and blasting him off into space. Griff says, I hope Rishi is putting up his feet after his hard-won... Griff, what's wrong with me? I'm making noises now. Griff texts, I hope Rishi is putting his feet up after his heart... One more time, and then that's it. I'm leaving. Griff texts, I hope Rishi is putting his feet up after his hard-fought election campaign. I feel comforted by the fact that we have a caring, strong, no-nonsense leader in place with clear evidence that the plan is working and has public respect regarding his integrity, professionalism and accountability. He must be content with the legacy that he will leave after his sacrifices. Yeah, that's what's happening. Hey, by the way, did he take a helicopter to Teesside? Because there's no way he went on the train or got driven up there. Because, you know, he doesn't like travelling or by terrestrial means. Is that the right word? He likes going by air, baby. As luxuriously as possible. And I bet we paid for it. Did we? Did he take a helicopter to go and try to bathe in the glorious spotlight of their one success? Which wasn't even a success. Getting 16% of the electorate to vote for you. I mean, that's nothing, is it? That's not a ringing endorsement. But he wanted that spotlight anyway, just somewhere where he wouldn't look insane with his grinning. That it was appropriate to be grinning in that situation, but only in that room with Lord Houchin. Poor! Did he take a helicopter and did we pay for it? Answers on a postcard to the following address. Amsterdam. Hello, Ray.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Yes, Ray.
I have a story about what the government and private individuals are spending their money on over here in the Netherlands, and then I've taken the liberty of doing some maths for you. I was hearing you talk about the UK government wasting money. Mm-hmm. Well, over here, the city of Arnhem announced plans to pay off all debts of approximately 50 households in Immerlo, which is listed as the most impoverished postal code area in the Netherlands. On the back of that, a family worth billions in Rotterdam announced plans to do the same for their region. The Van der Vorm family wants to work with 1,000 families in Rotterdam over the next 3 years to wipe out their debts entirely. According to the article, some 15,000 Rotterdam children grow up in families that are unable to make ends meet due to debts, sometimes due to personal problems, and other times simply due to bad luck.
Yes.
We could argue for a long time about how people are to blame for their own debts, but the fact is that children are suffering, the family told AD. So, about €2,700 per family. I've done some maths. Mm-hmm. Can you guess how many families the UK could do that for the amount of money it's losing due to Brexit?
Oh, the amount of money it's doing, all of us, every single last one of us, I bet.
707,407 every week.
Every week?
Yeah. So if you have like 2 trillion GDP, which is about 5% of that is about 100 billion per year. It's what they reckon has been lost, or about 2 billion per week. So then you take off the 90 million that was the actual net cost of EU membership. You've left with 1,910 million per week, divided by 2,700, which is quite a staggering number.
Yes, because you started speaking numbers at me.
Boring. Sorry.
I sort of drifted away for a moment there. I just cannot have a conversation about numbers. But I think the essence of what you were saying is quite astonishing, actually. That in the Netherlands, they treat poverty as not your fault, but just bad luck. And they give you a helping hand and lift you out of that mire in which you find yourself. In this country, on the other hand, the party maintains power by blaming the poor for being poor and being so stupid as to get born to poor parents.
Yeah, so if anyone from Glasgow City Council is listening, or Aaron Banks or James Dyson are looking for somewhere to park some of their money, maybe they could take some influence from the Dutch.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and answer for them.
No.
Yeah, I think it's a no from them, Ray, but fingers crossed and let's hope for the best. You see, that's why people in the Netherlands and Denmark and Sweden, you know, all the perfect 6-foot blonde people, that's why they are happy. HAPPY-ness. Every time that World Happiness Index comes out, it's the same blooming countries, always at the top. And it's not an accident, and it's not because they're running around, stoned out of their minds.
Want to score some pot?
We smoke more dope than they do, weirdly. Where you can just walk into a coffee shop in Amsterdam and get, whatever pungent herb you fancy for the day.
I hadn't noticed.
And they, yeah, right. And they still smoke less than we do because we're trying to blot out the misery, I imagine, has got something to do with it.
Yeah, they say they are an expert in hopes to demonstrate that once debts have disappeared completely, other problems like domestic violence, addiction, neglect, and unemployment are easier to tackle. So
and
that's the
cheaper.
logic.
Yeah, and cheaper too. You actually save money in the long run, but no one's interested in the long run in this country. We're interested in what can get you a good headline tomorrow.
Yeah,
well, that's
so
kind of
hopefully change
depressing.
to come.
Yeah, kind of depressing, Ray, and it sounds like you living in Amsterdam, you've made the right choice.
I was lucky to get out while I could.
All right, just in under the wire, he managed to escape just before the curtain came down and the spotlights were turned on. All right, thanks a lot, Ray. 0345 6060 973. That is extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, that is the reason why they're happy. It's perfectly simple. Countries like the Netherlands and Denmark and Sweden, those countries, they tax their people a significant amount. Weirdly, about as much as we're taxed here. But they're always happier than we are. Why? Because the government takes their tax money and it provides a safety net. So they don't feel that if they lose their job, then in 2 months' time they will be on the street. There isn't that constant fear of losing your house and your home and everything that goes with that. You know, you feel confident that you will be taken care of. And by that method, you actually feel freer to be more entrepreneurial because there isn't that fear of failure. And it brings happiness. And I've said this 1,000 times. What's the point of life if it is not to maximise your happiness? It's just that happiness is in pretty short supply in this country. I wonder why.
This government...
Exactly. 0345 6060 973. It's 11:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Darryl Jackson.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Hello.
Hello. 0345 6060 973. Maddie says, hey, Nick, could you ask that big fat nincompoop where his photo ID was? It was his blooming idea. Which big fat... I can't remember what the phrase is. Big fat nincompoop? I'm sure there's another word in there.
The great big greedy nincompoop.
Great big greedy nincompoop. That's right. Adrian says, is Bodge really that stupid that he went to vote with no ID?
Yes.
He says, I'm very suspicious. Seemed like a stunt so that people will say, oh, leave him alone. He's doing his best. Yeah, no doubt. Orpington. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Nick.
Tony.
Right, so I was going to ask if... I'm not going to ask if you're okay, because I know you're okay. Hope so. Yes, we had a couple of days ago, we had an amazing thunderstorm. Did you hear it?
I did, yeah. It woke me up.
But it was amazing. But I've made a mistake because if there's anyone who's has a phobia of spiders, they need to turn off right now. That even word. Anyway, so we had that lovely thunderstorm. It's about 12:30 in the morning.
Was hail involved? Because I can't normally hear the rain, but it was just hammering down. It seemed like golf ball-sized hailstones.
Totally agree. Yeah. We had the thunder. I counted about 30 strikes in about 15 minutes, and then I was enjoying it. I had to open the window, and I've had my fan on as well, listening to LBC as I do. But then it just hammered down and it quieted down. But I made the huge mistake of, you get to, if you don't like spiders, September, October, November, definitely not. You count them out, they definitely come out, and you get to December and you think, okay, we're all right, and January and February and March. Yeah. Then you get to April and May, and you think you're all right. No. Oh, Nick, it was horrible. It was horrible. No, I'm not. And then I had to wake my neighbour up because...
Oh, wait a minute, back up. You missed a part. What was horrible?
The spider.
Well, which one?
And you think... the one that was in my bedroom. and it was on my pillow.
Oh.
Nick, it was horrible.
Right.
I had to... So then I screamed, and then I had to wake Marina up downstairs. No, it's not funny, because I am petrified. My nan, she's... it was horrible.
Well, so how do you deal with a spider? Because I have an excellent way of dealing with the spider.
Yeah, you can go near it. I know.
I've got the answer for you.
What?
See,
please tell me.
One of the ways in which people deal with a spider is putting a glass over it, and then they put a slight bit of paper on it.
No, I can't go near it.
I know. Wait. And they put a piece of paper on it, and then you got the spider in a glass. But it's just millimetres, just the glass thickness away from your actual person, which can cause concern. But somebody passed on this. In fact, they bought it for me and they sent it to me. It's a grabby thing on the end of a stick. Right. So you're about 2 or 3 feet away from the spider, and it's filaments that are spread out. Like if you spread your fingers, that's what it looks like. They're little filaments, and when you pull the trigger on your end of the stick, the filaments close, and it traps a spider in there. It can't get out. But you're not close to it, see? It's the end of the stick. So that's better, right?
I can't even... No, I don't know. I disagree, because I can't even... Anyway, and you mentioned about Australia. Now, my ex, many years ago, now, who wants to get on a plane for 24 hours anyway?
No, exactly.
But, yeah. No, I can't even mention words, but I had to do that. So, anyone, don't open your windows. You've got, we'll talk about weather and stuff like that. Can you get on to me first thing in the morning, by the way, and send me that?
Yeah, I'll do that straight away, yeah. No, believe me, Tony, it works, and it's actually a very good product because of the nature of it, that it keeps you far away from a spider. You don't have to get anywhere near it. There's no bashing it with a rolled-up magazine or any of that stuff. It just traps it, and then you can walk around the house with it, looking for a window to chuck it out. It can't get out. That's the key of it, and you're about 2 or 3 feet away, depending on how long the stick is that you bought. I recommend them. I think they're an excellent product, and I commend them to the house. As for what you find in Australia, I'm not sure it would work on those things. I mean, if you've got an Australian-type spider in your house, then I would recommend blasting off and nuking the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Correct.
Thanks a lot, Tony. 0345 6060 973. Bath. Hello, John.
Hey.
John.
In terms of Boris Johnson, who said that he would eat his voting card if he was asked for it.
Yes.
He would have done if it was made of cheese.
Or cake.
Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But as you say, he did that for a bit of attention. He can't take not being in the limelight.
It must be infuriating for him.
Yeah, he's probably walking back and forwards in his room and stuff, and Carrie's probably saying, calm down, they haven't forgotten. That kind of thing. But I was going to say to you just now, earlier on you were talking about the spider thing. I stayed in a hotel about 30 years ago, right, and the only reason I'm saying this, because obviously I've stayed in many since then, but this thing was like quite a high-end place, and I opened the windows of the balcony of this suite, and in came a barrage of bees.
Bees?
Yeah, they were all like they were on the side of the wall, and they came in and filled the entire room up. And I had a young child at the time, so I kind of shut the door on my child and my wife so they wouldn't go anywhere near them.
What, you locked them in with the bees?
No, I
locked them. What kind of a monster are you?
I am a monster. No, I locked them away from the bees. But I rang down to the concierge fellow.
Yeah.
And he turned up with a hoover and just hoovered them all up.
What?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's another way of dealing with spiders, but he hoovered them. And I said to him, what's going to happen to them once they're inside the bag?
In the bag, yeah.
And he just said, well, they're going to die.
Oh.
And, let them go.
Well, I always wonder about that with spiders. I mean, you suck them into the bag, but they like being in the dark, so I would think that they probably they spend some time in there thinking about how to get you back.
Yeah, and they'll create a whole colony inside there.
millions of spiders. Yeah,
and you'll wake up and they'll all be around around your bed.
Yeah.
So saying he locked us in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to be careful with that.
Pointing you out to their mates.
But I'm not. You know, I was going to say earlier on. You know, one of your callers said something along the lines that politicians say.
Yes.
It's irritating. My pet hate is when they say, I don't recognise that.
Oh, God.
And it's generally when they've been proven to actually...
proof positive, and their next journey should be to jail.
Yeah.
And their response is, oh, I don't recognise... As though them not recognising a number, for instance, then disproves the argument against them. And no, it doesn't.
But Nick, this is the thing. This is what happens when you've got like spads and you've got like conservative versions of Alistair Campbell. They sit down with them and they just sort of give them all these one-liners, and they just like automatons just come out and just say the same thing again. And
it's
again
painful.
And
it
again.
really is excruciatingly painful. Yeah,
it's horrific. But anyway, I agree with you.
Horrific. I think horrific might be stretching it a bit.
No, honestly, I've had to. You know, I've deleted my television, DB News and Talk TV.
Oh yeah,
because I got so fed up of their kind of race to the bottom, and I only go onto it when I'm flicking and I run out of channels, and then up they come.
Are you kidding me? You run out of channels? I mean, how far up the dial must you go to get to where they are?
It's about like 285.
Yeah, there's got to be something on some of those. I bet Friends is on at least 3 of them.
I know, but I've seen them all before.
Well, who hasn't?
You know, I made the mistake of watching A Baby Reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Me too.
Well, I was trying to talk a friend of mine who's a builder into that to watch it, and I just said, look, you know, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you'll be glad to go to the end of it. Because,
I haven't, because I don't like knowing anything about a program before I see it, so I didn't really know anything about it other than people were talking about it. So I thought, well, all right, I'll try it. Wow, just like gripped from about the first 5 minutes. So I haven't finished it yet, John. So
I won't say anything.
No
about
spoilers.
But the fact that the guy who's starring in it was the guy it happened
It's the
to.
same chap, yeah.
Jesus.
And he's a very good. I mean, as far as acting goes, I mean, he ain't no.
He's not Christopher Walken, but.
Yeah, all right, Christopher Walken.
I was trying to throw one out there. I couldn't think of
and I was thinking of Al Pacino. He ain't no Al Pacino, but Christopher Walken. Yeah, he didn't walk on set with a watch in his hand.
No, he didn't. But it was like But I'm glad I watched it. But it's not the sort of thing you'd sit down with your family and watch.
No, exactly right. Yeah.
But in terms of, just to finally end on this, I spoke to a fellow I know, and he's a postman. And I said to him today, did you get many postal votes today? And he said, yeah, there are lots of them and stuff. And I just said, you worry sometimes if it's going to get there or if it's going to be tampered with. And then he said to me, I haven't voted. And then my heart sank. Because he's a lovely guy. And if a Royal Mail guy isn't voting, blue-collar chap, nice guy.
Wears shorts a lot, no doubt.
Yes.
Seems to be de rigueur among posties, wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Even if they're up to their earlobes in snow, they'll still wear shorts. What's that about?
Yeah, and especially after this post office debacle recently.
Yeah.
You'd think like they'd vote, but it's just like what was it, a 40% turnout for the mayoral election?
No, well, in Tees Valley, it was 30%. How pathetic is that?
Honestly, it's like, it really disappoints me.
He rode in on a wave of 16% of the electorate, that Lord Houchin.
Oh, God. And as for, you were talking earlier on about the penny farthing riding horse's pencil.
Yeah.
He actually used the word gerrymandering.
He did, yeah.
So he actually, he admitted it to us.
Completely, yeah.
And no consequences for that.
Zero.
because they've got to the point where they just think we're so dim-witted, we're just off our forelock.
Well, they've got to the point where they think, with justification, that they can do anything they like and get away with it. And the reason that they think that is because they have and they can.
Well, that's it. And I'll tell you something as well. If there was some free gold wallpaper at the actual ballot box, Boris Johnson would have had it, I do.
He would, his wife would have been trailing after him with it. You forgot something. All right, gotta go, John. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. She's probably too busy at home trying to get rid of that flea problem. Yeah, it was the dog. Yeah, sure it was.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
What are you talking about?
Oh, this, that and the other. Nothing much. Just, life. 0345 6060 973. Luke says the Tories currently have less councillors than the Liberal Democrats at the moment. I think this demonstrates that Labour is certainly doing really badly, and the Tories can firmly say that they have won these local elections. The Tories' plan is working.
We have a plan.
Plan. Yeah, I get it. Greenwich, hello, Laurie.
Oh, hi there. Yes, that word plan, it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, me too.
I thought of another... what was the name of the chap who came up with this idea? It's a really good one. About, these lines that the Conservatives churn out.
Oh, you're asking me to remember something that happened on this show?
Yes.
was his name Henry?
Oh, well, whatever. But,
yeah, whatever, exactly.
There's one I remember from a few years back, which makes me laugh now, but drove me nuts at the time. It was during Theresa May's premiership, and they came up with this really good one, which was called Strong and Stable Leadership.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That used to drive me absolutely up the wall because
strong and stable,
every time someone got up in the House of Commons, they'll say strong and stable leadership.
Yes.
Strong and stable. And I was like a robot. Strong and stable leadership.
I don't know what they think that we think of them when they do that. When every single one of them says the same catchphrase over and over again. Whether they think that we won't notice and that we just assume that they've come up organically with this phrase, every single one of them, or that they think we will notice and they just don't care.
I was just about to say those exact words. They don't care. They just don't care. They're nuts.
They are nuts. Well, that is a verifiable fact. Yes. All right, thanks a lot, Laurie. 0345 6060 973. I'll tell you one that gets my goat, whatever that means, is when they are presented with evidence that they have committed some sort of sin or other, and they say that, not that they don't recognise those figures or facts, it's when they say they can't recall. Who do they think they are kidding?
No, I don't recall, and I don't recall. I can't specifically recall, can't precisely recall. No, I don't remember them, but I don't precisely. I can't remember it precisely. I can't precisely recall that.
You can't precisely recall that. Get a grip, Fishy.
I'm gripping it.
He is actually gripping it right now. 0345 6060 973. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah.
Who's your new mayor? Have you got a new mayor yet?
Well, I've got what?
A new mayor.
New mayor?
A new mayor.
As in female horse?
No. Mayor. A mayor.
Oh. No, we don't have one, Nick. The local authorities can't decide whether we're going to have a sort of Humberside or whatever mayor, like they've got in Teesside. So, no, they're still arguing about that.
Right.
So we haven't got one.
You haven't got what?
We haven't got a regional mayor.
What, a female horse?
That's it. But before I start on this story, I just want to be very robust and make it clear that we don't recognise
Oh,
it.
no, he just said robust.
Because it never comes up on the doorstep when I'm door knocking. That's the only one they come up with.
Yeah.
They're presented with a hard fact and they say, no, people aren't concerned about that.
Yes.
It never comes up when I'm door knocking.
Right.
I was done in X, Y and Z constituencies last week.
Yes.
What are they doing all this door knocking for? They always say, when I'm door knocking, which I do regularly, well, what are they doing all this door knocking for at election times?
Maybe they just forget where their office is and are just knocking on doors randomly. Is this it?
Something like that. But anyway, the story I was going to say, you've been talking about ballot papers and numbers and things.
Yes.
Ballot papers get destroyed very quickly after an election. You've got so many days to appeal if you think the election was fraudulent. When that's gone, they're destroyed.
Are they?
The record? Yeah.
Why would they do that then?
Because, just to get rid of them, and it prevents any danger of back connection. But the bit that doesn't get destroyed is the bit that's in the polling office, in the polling station.
Right.
That's retained. So what you do know is whether somebody voted or not. Not which way, but whether they voted. So when you're door knocking for a political party, on your clipboard, you'll know when you go to a property whether the residents have voted in the last 2 or 3 elections, or whether they've not voted, assuming they haven't moved. Now, what is amazing is you knock on the door and you say, "Are you the homeowner?" "Yeah, blah, blah." You do your spiel. And at the end, I always say, "Do you usually vote? Do you usually exercise your right to vote?"
Yeah.
And the number of people that lie to you is unbelievable, because I'm looking at the clipboard. And if this guy's voted in the last 3 elections, he'll say, "No, not interested. They're all the same. Can't be bothered." And he's voted. Or the reverse, where somebody hasn't voted, and you said, "You normally I vote all the time. That's my civic duty."
I would imagine that's the lie that would be most frequently told, that they do vote when they actually don't.
Correct. But one other interesting thing, and this is anecdotal, I appreciate, but it's over a very large number of people I've talked to. Men lie to you 3 times as often as women do.
Wow.
It's at least 3 to 1. Which is a weird, sexist sort of thing to say, but it's true.
But I bet that the men, as I just said, I bet that they're lying in order to make themselves appear as though they're taking part, whereas they actually don't. They can't be bothered. "I'll do it tomorrow. I don't want to. It's raining."
And of course, you have to keep a straight face, because the last thing you can do is challenge them on it.
Right.
They'll never do your lot again.
Yes.
But you're there just looking at them incredulous, thinking, "Why are you just lying to me?"
But back to your point about them destroying the ballot papers. So you can actually go into, until they're destroyed, if that is actually what happens, and I'll take your word for it, until they're destroyed, you can go back and look at who voted for who. Yes or no?
It is theoretically possible,
right?
But the security, the records from the polling station are kept separate from the ballot papers, and they're both independently secure in theory.
Right.
So no one person can get access to both the polling stations and the ballot papers. So, and I appreciate that with corruption it could happen.
Yes.
But in theory, it can't happen. And the ballot papers are destroyed as quickly as they possibly can be. But you've got so many days after an election to appeal that it was fraudulent, and then they need to keep all the paperwork. Once that date's gone, which is only a few days, then at that point the ballot papers are destroyed and there's no way of connecting it back up again.
But destroyed by what method?
Burning, shredding or burning.
What about climate change?
Well, I don't know what happens to the shredded stuff, so I don't know how I really don't know. But they used to be burnt, but now these companies charge a fortune for shredding your sensitive paperwork.
Yeah.
So,
well, it must take forever. So one bloke, and he's got one of them little machines he bought from W.H. Smith, and he's just feeding them through one at a time.
Yeah, one of my friends has got a shredding company, and believe you me, it's massive machinery.
Really?
You can chuck anything in, and it just chews it all up.
Right.
But I've never actually thought to ask him what he does with the shreddings.
Yeah. Maybe somebody puts them all back together again with sellotape. That's the job I wouldn't want.
Now, we're not in spooks territory where they reckon they can do that. I don't think so.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Is that a TV programme? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to? Right, another one of those TV shows I haven't watched, like Gavin and Stacey. Oh, people were thrilled that Gavin and Stacey is coming back. And I haven't watched I think I tried to watch it once, and if the return episode is as funny as the one that I once saw, then it's a big no from me.
No.
Yeah, thanks, but no. No thanks. Cheers, Mike. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC, and the WhatsApp number's the same as the phone number.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
I am not one of your fans!
This is the thing that I was talking about. Exactly that. What we just heard on the news. Claire Coutinho, the Energy Secretary. This is what they tend to do. Never mind about the same phrase all the time. They'll say, the Prime Minister has been very clear that, so on and so forth. They say something that's not true, and they're told that what they've just said is not true, and their response is to repeat the thing that is not true. Rishi Sunak has done this so many times. He's tweeted out that we are now £900 a year better off as a result of this government's munificence because of the national insurance tax cuts. You're £900 a year better off. And he does these idiotic videos where he writes 900, or he wrote 450 on a glass in front of the camera, and then he wiped it out as though he'd just made an error. Silly teacher. So he wipes it out and he writes 900, and then he looks pleased as punch with himself and waltzes off to, I don't know, walks through a cloud of perfume. And each time he does it, he puts it up on Twitter, he gets fact corrected underneath. And his response to that is to repeat the thing that wasn't true. And they do it over and over and over again. And there is no doubt they don't do it in the hope that we're too stupid to figure it out. They know that we're too stupid to figure it out, and that's why they keep doing it. You are not £900 a year better off because of the national insurance tax cuts, because the levels at which the other tax rates kick in has been kept the same. So with inflation now, that means that you are paying more in tax than you used to, because they kept the tax rates at which the various taxes kick in the same. They call it tax creep, something like that. Some creep called it tax creep. So you are more likely to be just £300 a year better off at best, which is £1 a day. Don't spend it all in the same place. Oh, no, that's right, you already have. Crucially, if you are among the country's poorest and you earn less than £26,000 a year, you will actually be worse off. And they know all that. Rishi Sunak is, he made his money betting on economic issues. So he knows that what he's saying isn't true. But he keeps saying it. He keeps getting fact-checked and corrected, and the response to that correction is to just repeat the thing that's not true. That is incredibly annoying. I mean, I take it as a personal insult every time they do one of those things. And they do it all the time. And as for the money off with the reduction in the energy price cap, I mean, come on. That they take us for idiots is really irritating. 0345 6060 973. Kensington, Hassan.
Hi, Nick. Look, I'm very excited about the election results because it has been quite fascinating with Tories getting a drubbing. So poor Rishi and his Rwanda obsession and dragging poor asylum seekers into police bus vans, etc., did not work for him.
No.
And I think if you hear what Professor John Curtis and some of the Sky electoral analysts are saying, that they're both predicting a hung parliament, which would be fascinating, because I think that Labour is now just 9 points ahead. And this is sort of much more reliable than those opinion polls that we've been having.
No, I disagree. I don't think they are at all. I mean, the turnout is abysmal. 30% turnout in Tees Valley, for instance.
Yes, but the turnout in local elections is always low. But you cannot ignore 28 million people, or even if 7 million of them voted, that's a far bigger data set. But I think what you and I should be excited about is a possible coalition government between the two parties which are the closest to each other, which is the Labour and the Tories. And we should think through who should be the various prime ministers.
Yeah.
And I think they should have two prime ministers. Like, in ancient Rome, they used to have two councils. So we should have two prime ministers with Kier and Rishi, and they should alternate every day with the prime ministerial hat.
No, I think they should be put into an arena and they should fight it out for glory.
And absolutely, and then it should be for all the talent. So obviously, Suella has to come back as the Home Secretary. And there's no difference in their foreign policies, there's no difference in their defense policies, there's no difference in their economic policies. So it will be a wonderful, stable government, strong and stable.
Well, you've got me convinced, Hassan.
Exactly.
All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I don't believe a word of it. Hung Parliament, my eye. And I say that based on no information of any kind whatsoever. It's just a feeling. And we're all about feelings now, baby. We aren't interested in facts. Luke says the Tories currently have less councillors than the Liberal Democrats. No, I'm getting deja vu. Have I read this one? Yes, I have. Randall says, Bodger No Hairdo Johnson, who set up voter ID to stop poor people voting Labour, forgot his ID when he went to vote. What an idiot, said Randall. I don't think forget was part of that story. I don't think he forgot anything at all. Caroline says, all the rain has made a very lush and verdant May, though. Though? What, you mean all of the above is okay? The ruination of this once great nation has been put into perspective because it rained a bit? Alex says the local elections haven't been that bad for Robo Rishi. After all he needs to do is to pass a law saying he actually won. That's right. Yeah, well, they did the thing with Rwanda being a safe place. Why not that too? Just pass a law that says you actually won. I mean, that's what Donald Trump would do.
Oh, shut up!
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Let's see now. Oh, Hassan is still there. Have we dealt with you in full, Hassan? Have we dealt with you in full?
Yes, but you
okay.
didn't agree with my
Right.
agree with my proposition.
I didn't. I agreed to nothing of the sort. You have no evidence to the contrary. All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Kent. Hello, Nick. Nick? Is there anybody out there too late? Let's see. Cheshire. Hello, John.
John. I agree with you, the comments you always made about the voters being thick. I mean, to actually vote Conservatives after 14 years after what we've been through.
Oh, you know what? I saw a poll come up. It's Liz Truss's seat. And the current polling suggests that she will win that seat again in a landslide.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, I am not kidding. Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
The people who are in Liz Truss's manor are so thrilled with her performance that they want her to do it again for 5 years.
I mean, how about making voting compulsory?
I think it should be against the law, voting.
Well, depends who you vote for.
Exactly. Yes.
You're right about the ones that gotta go out to vote, and the others who say, "Oh well, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll do it the next time." But the determined ones go out to vote.
If reasonable people stay at home and don't vote, then we get run by cranks.
Yeah, and well, the Reform Party's coming up on the outside.
I rest my face.
Yeah, nutters, racist, you name it, they're it. They're off the rockers, that crowd. They're off the tiny rockers.
John, don't sit on the fence. Tell us what you think. Thanks a lot, mate. Got to go. I was just looking over the turnout for the London mayor. Of course, we don't know who that's going to be yet, and but various people on the internet are trying to persuade us that Sadiq Khan is not going to win the London mayoral race, and it is in fact going to be what's her name? You know what's her name? I'll sum up her manifesto for you. But look at the turnout in London. I mean, it's not great. In no ward do they get above 50%. But it's significantly better than Tees Valley, for crying out loud. I mean, look at that. Bexley and Bromley, 48.38% turnout. That's not that bad. 42.98 in Ealing and Hillingdon. 45.99 in Merton and Wandsworth. 45.26 in Southwest, that's Hounslow. Hey, that's where Bodger used to not represent.
Yeah. Wait.
And Kingston upon Thames and Richmond upon Thames. 45, as opposed to 30% in Tees Valley. Well, what's wrong with the people in Tees Valley that they couldn't be bothered to go out and vote? Almost 50% in some of these constituencies in London. Well, good for you, Londoners. At least some of you are making an effort.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Winchester. James.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Sorry, you just caught me by surprise. So, right, first of all, thanks for having me on. Fish and chips. I had some last night, so don't worry. It still exists.
Does it?
It's all good.
Well, you may have eaten the last one.
Well.
How was it, by the way?
Well, now you make me feel guilty because it might have been the last one. But it was very nice.
Very nice, right. How much was it?
Well, we cooked it at home, so not a lot. But it was fish and chips, so it still exists.
Right.
Other than that, you're talking about, what, spiders? I think, yeah. That's up to you, isn't it? And then Boris.
I don't want to talk about spiders. Well, I don't. I certainly don't want to talk about Boris the spider.
It fits. I phoned up to talk about kind of the politics and stuff at the moment, and maybe it's a bit too serious and boring. But the chap that phoned in before and talked about the numbers, and he got the boring sign from you. I thought it was really interesting because if you think about communities the way they are and the voting and what you're talking about, who you're voting for. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I do wonder, it's who can they vote for that actually works for them or this system?
Well, nobody works for them if they're teen. Well, it depends how young they are. I mean, if you're 18 or 19, then you get to vote, but other than that, you don't. Which is why. And kids don't tend to vote anyway, which is why no political party is remotely interested in helping them at all, because they won't help a political party.
Yeah.
Did they vote? Could they vote, and did they?
Sorry, no, they are literally teenagers, so 13, 15.
Oh, okay, right. That young,
not of voting age.
Oh, right.
It was just looking at this vote this year.
Yeah.
I found it very difficult because I didn't think that there is a party that exists that actually represents what communities needs, let's say.
Green. How about Green? The Groovy Green is?
Groovy. Very good, yeah. I mean, it's all good, but it's the same system. I mean, you look at... Imagine a game on social media where these influencers with more money than, Scrooge McDuck Imagine if they ran a competition that they'd all pick a community and they would invest, like this chap was saying in the Netherlands, they'd invest some of their money into the infrastructure that the government isn't putting in place. It's almost as if we're relying on schools and systems, even, I mean, I don't
charities. We rely on charities for things that you would think that your tax money would provide for, but apparently it's we don't pay enough tax for that. We don't pay enough tax for anything. We don't pay enough tax to get police well. We don't pay enough tax to have the roads fixed. We don't pay enough tax to have a health service that works. We don't pay enough tax for anything in this country. Where does it all go?
Well, this is my point, right? Let's say that we swerved the current system and just pretended as an idea that a load of rich people who were not selfish, right? So okay, we'll chuck a load of this money that we made back into a community that means something to us.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go through the channels of government or charity or anything else. We'll just, I don't know, we'll just help the community.
Right. We just have to rely on the kindness of rich strangers?
No, absolutely not, because they're not strangers. They're humans, and it's not that. It's the idea that everybody seems to think that we cannot change things because we have to go through said politicians. Right. And the said politicians that we have at the moment, well, there's not a lot of difference, is there? Because...
Well, I don't know. We don't have anything to compare and contrast, having just lived through 14 years of pretty much a dictatorship in this country. It's just been one party.
Absolutely. So imagine the Dragon's Den lot got together. Well, they got enough money to sort some stuff out, and they've got to be better than these lads. So...
And we have the ideal method of communication for that to actually happen. The Internet's been built... You might have built it specifically for that purpose, but nobody uses the Internet for good. We use it to buy things we don't need with money we haven't got, and to throw insults at strangers on the net. That's what we use it for at the moment. But no, we could do it for helpful purposes. Exactly right, James. Sounds like you're building Nirvana over there in Winchester. Let me know when it's finished. Thanks a lot, mate. Gotta go. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This is preposterous.
0345 6060 973. Alex says the local elections haven't been that bad for Robo... No, I read that one. Berenda texts, the PM has a plan, yes, the one the gentle public disagrees with, according to today's results, but the ostrich can't see that he has his head buried in the sand. General public, perhaps, not gentle public. I don't think there's anything gentle about him. And what kind of a thing is that a bird would bury its head in the sand as a method of protection? How's that protecting it? It would just make it easier to eat, you'd think. But what do I know? Get David Attenborough on the phone right now and he'll explain it to us. Not picking up? Keep ringing. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jan.
Thanks for taking my call. Yes, so I wanted to share my experience of my voting, but also I think it's just what was going on in my head before I went to the voting. I actually had a hospital appointment. No, I had a hospital appointment.
I can only imagine what was going on in your head.
No, I'll tell you.
Yes.
No, it does make sense. No, I'll tell you what, though, but I actually had a hospital appointment earlier in the day, and then I, did some shopping and made my way to the voting something. But I've actually had 2 hospital appointments recently for those things, which is, it does happen,
It's practically a miracle to get one, never mind about 2.
But all the men have left I'm not going to give the name of my surgery, and there's only one man left there. And the women, I mean, you don't know, half of them may be doctors in training, and some of them are, they're not all, anyway.
Oh, they could have been just somebody who was passing the building, and they said, do you know anything about medicine? They said, well, I got a box of plasters in the car. They said, that's great, you're hired.
But I am being seen. I mean, I am being seen, but I just think that if something really serious was discovered...
Yeah.
That's the thing, there's long waiting lists, and
that's right.
I think they're trying to get people to see. The thing is that to see people in the private hospital, the ones who may be waiting for too long if they're cancer people or something, just to help save lives. But at the same time, although it came up on the show,
I seriously doubt that because they're trying to save lives. If the government's plan was to save lives, then they should have done something about the NHS. Let's say 14 years ago.
Yeah, but I was thinking about all this deception when I was going to vote. I was thinking about all the deception going on, and what you're speaking about tonight about that Lord. Or was it Lord Hochin? The Lord in Teesside. They're talking about, it's like a sleight of hand, It's like the politicians are playing this, especially the Tories are playing this sleight of hand, all of them, like a skillful...
Jan, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about right now. So tell me about your experience of voting.
Okay, all right. I went in... Oh, I see. No, it's just the way... It's just the way they like with this migrants. They say that they were going to get a lot of them and catch them for deporting them. But they've only got.
Does this have anything to do with your experience of Jan? Does this have anything to do with your experience of voting?
Yes, it does. But I was just picking up on points of what you were saying.
Right.
I mean, these were all the thoughts going around in my head.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And with all the
must be a cacophony in there.
Conjuring trick. There's like a conjuring trick. You all say that, like Rwanda. It's 2 million to send one person to Rwanda.
Never mind about that. What was your experience? What was your experience of voting today?
Well, it was practically empty. There were just a few people coming in there. But you've said it's less than 50% or 50% for one of people going to vote. So I was one of that 50%.
Oh, that's right.
So I was, so I went in there and I forgot I had some photo ID, but I forgot, because I've been in crowded places, I wore my mask, to protect myself because I haven't had any of those vaccines anyway,
right.
As being vulnerable to this, whatever the going on around there. So I forgot I had on my mask, my mask because I've been in crowded places.
How could you forget that you're wearing it?
Because well, anyway, when I'm out there, I tend to wear it to protect myself.
Go in disguise. I understand.
Yeah, that's so. Anyway, the guy there made me take it off because I had photo ID. He wanted to see me without the mask.
Right.
But it was such a straightforward thing. It was just, they made it very easy, and I was so confused by all that information I got before I went. It was useful. I didn't know we had the right to vote for the Glar Assembly.
You didn't?
3 pieces of paper.
3 pieces of paper, that's right. One was orange and one was pink, and I think one was green.
Yellow.
Well, yellow, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
pink and yellow and green and blue, orange and purple and...
so it was practically deserted by the time I got there.
It was always deserted. It's deserted for the entire time those things are open. No one's going there, Jan.
So it's apathy.
How can you be apathetic about what is going on in this country? I mean, hey, wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think.
But people may have maybe democracy. Oh, it's quite frightening when you think of it, because what's going to happen to democracy if less than 50% of the population votes?
Well, we're there now. There's no if about it.
All right, yeah, that's what I mean. What will happen to democracy then? That's why those autocrats are all being puffed up now.
We will get run by cranks. And yeah, it's true. And the representative of cranks. If few people go out and vote, then you can be absolutely certain that the cranks will vote. Thereby, we get run by cranks.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
So it's all failed then. What do people vote? People don't vote for out of sense. I mean, you've had people speaking. People don't vote sensibly. They have an ideology they support, but they're Tory all their life or Labour all their life, and they stay that way. And
well, I'm not sure I'm not sure that's very true anymore. I mean, how much more evidence do you need that the efficacy of the Conservative Party? I mean, you can either be delighted or appalled, but to be apathetic, I just don't get it.
All right, so what what about this Lord Hygen who became mayor? Who kept his seat in Teesside? And they're talking about
16% of the electorate voted for him. 16.
And they talk about that as a success.
Yeah, which it's a pretty low bar, ain't it?
I mean, it's a conjuring trick.
Well, it's a trick of prestidigitation that I am not remotely interested in seeing, and I don't care how they did it, and I'm uninterested in that whole magic trick. Not for me. Not now. Not ever. Never. Jan, gotta go. 0345 6060 973. Ellie texts, Eurovision next week. Yay! Are they still doing that? Who's our effort this year? Don't tell me, I don't want to know. Have we lost yet? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. You can WhatsApp us, same number as the phone number, 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 12:30, the news headlines with Darryl Jackson.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Care what this guy thinks?
No! James texts, my family voted last night. We used our Validate UK cards as ID. What's that? Validate UK cards. He says, this is a government recognised... Oh, well, this... if only I just read on, I would have discovered. Idiot. This is a government-recognised ID proof of age card. I voted with my mum late in the evening. They checked the card. We knew it was okay as we had used it last year as well. The lady behind the polling station stated, we don't see many of those. But I did see one earlier today. A gentleman brought one in. And my mum said, yeah, that'll be my husband. Well, we appreciate your efforts, family.
Thank you.
Amelia texts, Bojo remembered to bring his dog to the polling station but forgot his photo ID. Yeah, I bet he lost his dog on the way home too. 0345 6060 973. Kent, hello Nick.
Hello Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. It's regarding the local elections and Keir Starmer's reaction to obviously what we knew was going to happen, that they were going to get wins.
Yeah.
Now, if it was me, I'd come out and he's concentrated on trying to put down the Conservative Party. Now, wouldn't you just concentrate on what the Labour Party can do, rather than this mudslinging?
Well,
I don't want to know about what the Conservative Party, as far as I'm concerned, is done.
Yeah.
They're not going to. We all know they're going to lose.
Well, that's the expectation. You know, stranger things have happened this year. But go on.
But why bog yourself down in this mudslinging? To me,
I didn't hear him mudslinging. What was it that he said?
Well, the first thing he came out and said was, well, this is a lesson to the Conservatives.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about the Conservatives. I want to know about what his party can do for me.
Right. That's a good point.
And if I'm absolutely honest, I find myself politically homeless. And the one thing that puts me off politics in a big way is the constant
mudslinging. Right.
Don't do it. Just concentrate on tell me why I should vote for you.
Yes.
And why I shouldn't vote for the other team.
Right. Positive, not negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it.
But they seem to concentrate a lot of their time on putting the other side down rather than why you should vote for them.
Yes. Well, the Tories do that all the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I would imagine that it's difficult to resist throwing it back at them. But I think you're probably right. Keir Starmer should resist that urge and just be positive about what he can bring to us.
Absolutely, and I'm not trying to put the Labour Party down. It's more the fact that I think that they'd be it would reflect better if he said, "I'm not going to get involved in that."
Yeah,
that's what they do.
And just to be clear,
we concentrate on what we do.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Nick, this phone call isn't having a go at either party. You're just being positive.
Well, I listen. It would be refreshing if a party concentrated on what they wanted to do rather than what the other team were doing.
Right, I agree. Yes,
and it's. I might be completely wrong in what I'm saying, but it annoys me. The fact that they get concentrated on that rather than,
No, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you completely. But it just must be quite difficult once. I mean, if you've just spent your entire day being slagged off by this or that numpty from the opposite party, to throw a bit of it back at them. The temptation must be enormous, but they should resist it. I agree.
Absolutely. No, and it just, when you think, to take the higher ground and go, I want to tell the public why they should vote for me, why, rather than get involved in why they should not vote
for the other side.
Yeah.
I think you got spot on there, Nick. Well done. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Lucy says, I see once again Bojo failed to follow his own rules by failing to bring ID to the vote yesterday. Was he hoping he could be identified by his unbrushed hair?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Hair-brained haystacks. Are we being negative again?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah. Didn't last very long. I was in a whirl of positivity for about, 6 or 7 seconds after taking that last call. And then right back down in the mire again. Craig says, desperate to be talked about, Bodge accidentally forgot his ID yesterday when he went to vote. I wonder how much he sold that story for. Yeah. I still want to know how Fishy Sunak got to Tees Valley, by the way. By what method of transport did he take, and who paid for it? I bet he went by helicopter, and I bet the people who paid for it was us poor lot who pay taxes.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. I am outraged. Plymouth. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Nick. I hope you're well.
Well, thanks.
Good. Now, I heard you mention about Blundertrust last week and about how she is going to manage to get into her constituency again.
I cannot believe it.
I can't believe it. And I used to live in North Norfolk, and her constituency is South Norfolk, and I know the area. But again,
I thought her thing was North Norfolk. Oh, no, that's somebody else. That's quite right. I've forgotten. But, yeah, okay.
But when I was living there, we had a lovely Lib Dem, Norman Lamb.
Oh, yeah.
It tends to be sort of Norwich Labour, but Norfolk itself tends to be either Lib Dem or Conservative.
Yeah.
And I think I know the reason why. Because a lot of people from London have second homes in Norfolk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if a lot of people live in a constituency in London where Labour have the power.
Yeah.
So they make their second home their prime residence. And people that's why I don't know what her links to Norfolk are, or South Norfolk, and that's how she gets in. They're crafty. They're really crafty people.
I don't believe that that's true. There can't be as many people in, presumably wealthy Londoners who have second homes in Norfolk. There can't be as many as would be required to essentially fix the election on behalf of the Lisbot.
Well, I mean, Norfolk people are good people. It's like I can't think of any other reason for it. I mean,
Are they good people, though? I mean, really? Are they, honestly? Are they good people in Norfolk? Be honest.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got to say they are. Because I lived there for over a decade, and, we cared. We cared about, each other. It's more community-based. It's
I don't know. You may be stretching it a bit far there, Julie. I mean, it depends where you were living. Were you living in Norwich? Because that's a fairly big conurbation. I seriously doubt that people in Norwich care about their neighbours any more than in any other city.
I think it's no. You're right. You're correct. But a smaller city and loads of pubs in Norwich. So they were very communal. But no, I used to live.
Oh, they have pubs. Oh well, you should have said. I'm sold.
They have loads of pubs. I think as many pubs as churches or something like that.
Actually, the last few years I've spent a week or so in all in Norwich, and I thought it was great.
Yes, it is. It's a lovely city. I mean, it's struggling after 14 years, like a lot of places are, because people are angry and they can't help but show it.
They're sick up to here.
Yes, and some of them physically sick and mentally sick. It's all sick.
Yeah.
And I did actually WhatsApp into the panel last night and said that you should have been on it because you're very politically astute, as we know from your Sunday show, and you're fun.
No.
Fancy it, Nick? No. All right then.
No.
Well,
I know my place, Julie.
Oh, it's wonderful. We love it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and I'll see you in a pub in Norwich. I'll have a pint of your worst ale, please. Thanks, Julie. 0345 6060 973. Steve says, all I hear when I hear Titchy Soonsak say plan is those annoying seagulls from Finding Nemo that constantly say mine over and over again. I guess they are the same species, though. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Finding Nemo, isn't that Disney cartoon? There's seagulls that say mine. That's not how a seagull sounds. None of that made sense, Steve. But it fits right in on this show. Matt says hundreds of seats lost, voters leaving them in their thousands, but no clear evidence of a strong swing towards Keir Starmer, according to Conservative Central Headquarters. I hope Rishi has a plan for life after number 10. Oh, you bet he has. He'll be leaving on a jet plane. Leaving on a jet plane like... who did that? It wasn't John Denver. I bet it was John Denver.
Correct.
Leaving on a jet plane. Somebody will correct me if I am not legal, decent, honest and true. Chelsea. Hello, Mark.
My dear man, you got me distracted by going on about Norwich.
Yes.
You won't believe, I took the train. It wasn't very expensive in those days, in the mid-90s. You won't believe who I had to visit in Norwich.
Was it a bloke called Dave?
No, Dangerous Danny McClendon, 1972 to 1975, British and Commonwealth heavyweight boxing champion. He knocked out a pig farmer called Jack Bodell, and it was commentated by, beautifully, poetically, by Harry Carpenter.
I do.
When he did it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the names that you've just given me.
Why Norwich? He was in the Shovel and Pick. He was in HMP Norwich. He got 3 months, and he did 6 weeks for good behaviour because he was punch drunk and he was used on nightclub doors.
Right.
And, by people, and he hit somebody for no reason, so I went up there. But you distracted me. Now, back to politics, serious stuff. Now, I have Whiggish tendencies.
I don't know anything of the sort. You wear a rug?
But, the thing is, if Benito Mussolini was about to take this throne that requires a lot of plumbing... Even though after Brexit, there's still some plumbers left. But this throne that this little billionaire man might vacate, the throne, it still needs a lot of plumbing, the throne. But anyway...
I have no idea what you're talking about. That's like two in a row on the Nicky Abbott show.
The throne is referred to as a lavatory from time to time.
That kind of plumbing. I got it.
I know, but seriously, now, seriously, the Conservatives, who I can't stand, I'm struggling to find differences between the two main parties. Some have called them McDonald's and Burger King. George Galloway referred to them as two cheeks of the same backside. Now, none of them will risk the P word, peace, in Ukraine. Billions have to be pumped into it regardless. Otherwise, you are a traitor. and lives must be lost on both sides, which is a bit curious. But the Conservatives said they will remove inheritance tax. That will put me in Vegas if and when I inherit. 40% inheritance tax, I know you don't like numbers, but 40% is 40%. But I said I'd run the London Marathon in 1992, and I never mentioned it again, never did it, and that was it. So it's very similar. They haven't even talked about it now that we are in national emergency. I mean, they just say things. They don't do. It's just that they're so identical.
It's a series of I'm gonnas, yes. Now, what you're referring to is the budget that they will push through just before the next election, by which method they'll say, vote for us and we'll give you more money.
Well, look, having seen the Daily Mail and the Times explain how genitalia pictures are sent to strangers by honourable members, and then phone numbers of other honourable members are forwarded, and then another gentleman in this Palace of Westminster asks a 74-year-old lady for $5,000 large
yes.
at 4:00 in the morning, and then 9 out of 10 surfaces in the Boggs test for Charlie.
Yes.
At what stage do we say that this sort of stinks?
I think that stage has passed already. Did you not get the memo? Thanks a lot, Mark. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. This show gets stuck up the internet as a podcast. The Friday and Saturday night shows get put up the internet as a podcast. It's exclusive to Global Player. It takes on. I've lost myself. I think I've been so discombobulated by the last couple of calls that I think I may have lost a part of my mind. The idea is that we take the news and the ads out. That's the point of the podcasts of the Friday and Saturday night shows. So it takes less time to listen to. But it is exclusive to Global Player. So if you do not have it, get Global Player for free from your favourite app store or globalplayer.com. Or you can just tell your stupid smart speaker to play Nick Abbott, the whole show podcast.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
Ben texts, a portion of people probably don't vote as they do not believe it makes any difference.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, come on, people. Must I do the parallel lines thing again? If the two major parties were parallel lines, if they were identical in every way, shape and form, then those parallel lines would not diverge over time. They'd be the same distance apart now as they would be in 5 years. But if they diverge just slightly, just by 1 degree, then at first you will not notice. But in 5 years' time, those lines will be wide apart. So there is a difference. It might not be a radical difference, but then they tried radical, and people said no. So Skier is trying not to say anything that might frighten the horses. Because he doesn't want to lose this massive lead now, because he would go down in political history as one of the all-time losers. And by not saying anything, he seems to be, doing pretty good. So don't expect that there will be radical difference, but just a tiny difference between the two will make a huge difference over time. Just got to wait a bit, that's all. I mean, this is a supertanker. It's not a speedboat. Takes a long time to turn a supertanker around. Winchester. Hello, Simon.
Nick, good evening.
Simon.
I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. This isn't my main point, by the way, but I will just back up what you're saying there. I firmly believe, and I honestly do believe, that Starmer is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to this country. And we have got to just get him in, and then he can do the rest.
Right.
And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. I've been wrong before. I voted Brexit and very quickly realised I made a mistake, and I'm quite happy to hold my hands up and say that, it was the biggest mistake I've ever made. But I believe at this stage that man is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to this country.
Well, it's a pretty low bar to be an improvement on what we have at the moment. So let's just hold on to that.
Well, if he does what I think he's going to do, or I hope he's going to do, he's an absolute genius.
Well, what do you think he's going to? What do you think he's going to do?
I think he's a lot further left than people think.
Right.
I think he's. Please let me make my other point before you cut me off.
Yep.
I think he is playing a game where he's talking to. He's got people like me. The vote's banked. I mean, who else am I going to vote for? I think he is talking to the not so intelligent, let's just put it that way, to court their votes so that he gets as much of a majority as possible.
Yeah.
And I think once he's in and the reins are taken off, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to start rubbing people's noses in it, but I think it's all going to go on behind the scenes, and just gradually, as you said, things will start.
Yes.
Lots of deals will be made. But, I mean, look, what other government have we ever had where everything comes down to how are you paying for this? How are you pay? You just trust that they're doing the right thing. And obviously we can't trust the Tories because we've seen what they do.
Well, evidence, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's going to be a lot of noise to start with. Then it'll go a bit quieter, like it should do. These nut jobs, the Liz Trusses and the...
I was going to ask, which ones? Oh, Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the Richard Tices and the Farages and stuff will hopefully slink back into the shadows. I've said it before, and you disagreed, but I still think that once everything just settles down, they'll get back in their boxes and everything will quieten down, and then, before you know it, good stuff will start to happen.
I think that if you're in expectation of good things happening straight away, by which I mean within a year or two, then I think you're going to be disappointed, because there's nothing that you can do really that quickly that's going to affect a change on a country that has been going in the same direction for 14 years. It's going to take a long time to turn around. And if he can make some sort of a positive effect on people's lives within 5 years, then he might get another 5, but I would kind of doubt it.
Well, I think it would all go on behind the scenes and people will slowly start to feel better. Right. My main point, incidentally, Susan Hall, I mean, who on earth would vote for her? They asked her, they asked the Conservative candidate for the mayor, Susan Hall, when she came out of the polling station, who she voted for, and she said it's a secret. Anyway, right, so I don't know whether you know about this, but there is, Galloway is bragging that he's going to field 500 candidates at the general election.
Wow. Where's he going to get them from?
Oh, exactly. But one of the candidates is confirmed, and he is a cricketer. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say his name. I don't embarrass the guy. But let's say that his initials are MP, which is the closest he's going to get to be an MP.
Right.
Monty, someone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He did an interview on a different radio. You know about this, yeah?
Yeah.
And he said about NATO. I don't really know much about them.
We definitely want to be out of NATO. And what's NATO? Oh, I've got no idea.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Seriously, how much longer do we have to put up with this?
I don't know. But time's ticking on each and every one of them. So I'm got to go because, just got to go. But thanks for that. Peterborough, Gary.
Hey, how you doing, bud? You all right?
Good, thanks. Yes, very good.
Okay, I'm confused. I got to the polling booth. I thought long and hard about whether I wanted Conservative or Labour.
Yeah.
100% agreed I don't want Conservative, no way. I can't stand another time with Richie.
But it took you till you got to the booth to think that?
No, well, I actually thought I knew where I was going to go, and it wasn't until I started thinking about, well, hold up a minute, we can't pay our nurses, we can't pay our doctors, we can't pay our teachers, we've got people going on strike left, right and centre, the population has seen a massive increase a massive increase all of a sudden, which means the infrastructure is now struggling. And not one of these parties has turned around and said, well, why are we giving France all these billions of pounds to protect the shores when they're not doing anything? The police are just standing there watching them go.
Billions of pounds. I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate, but...
Well, according to David Cameron, David Cameron has said he's going to give one country, I'm not going to mention the name of the country, but one country, £2.5 billion a year in aid.
Yes, Ukraine.
But we can't pay our doctors and nurses, and we can't pay people that really matter in this country.
What does that tell you?
Well, that tells you that you can't trust the Conservatives, but then you can't trust Labour either.
What it tells me...
Labour's saying bring everyone in.
What it tells me is we can afford to pay our doctors and our nurses, and we can afford to improve the NHS, and we can fix the potholes in the roads, and we can do all of these things. It's just that they choose not to, because the money is there by your own admission. Gary, you got the last word, or technically I did, but thanks for that. Gotta go. Now, if you missed any of today's show, like I said before, you can listen up, or listen back rather, on the podcast of the shows. That's what I would recommend you listening to. We take the news and most of the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to, which will give you the opportunity to spend more time thinking about how on earth we got into this position in the first place. Any ideas?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
You can download Global Player free from your App Store or head to globalplayer.com. And with that app, you can pause and rewind live radio. How it does that, nobody knows. I'll be back tonight from 10 o'clock. 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 Tonight from 10 o'clock.